So, so welcome here to Kista, to Microsoft, and I'd just like to start with a quote from Bill Gates about success. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. And you are all smart people here, right? Yeah, you're buying knowledge management systems. You have to be at least reasonably smart to do that, right? So this is the story. I mean, this happened to us all, and it actually happens to companies too, and it happened to Microsoft. So if you go in, now I introduce myself. Here's my LinkedIn. If you want to connect in LinkedIn, that is there. We bought LinkedIn, so I kind of promote that too. And we're going to start here. Anybody remember this one? Windows 95. This was a great day in the history of Microsoft. So, and you can see this guy, he's actually from Australia. He's happy he actually got 2. He's not sure what he's going to do with it. But those, things were great. And like Bill said, this was great success. You could feel it. This is almost like, outside of an Apple store 3 years ago. But it was Microsoft. So, life was good for a long time. And it really, Microsoft made a lot of money. And then after a while, we got here. That was not so good. This was a product released 2 years early. The engineer said, no, we can't release it. And then the sales guy said, yeah, we're going to release it anyway. So we did. And that, what was actually a starting point, because this was actually a low point of Microsoft, where we actually said, okay, we're going to start transition and, changing the product and approach of the company too. So we started at that time actually to work with the cloud services and all of that. And I had the opportunity to work as the first product manager in Sweden for Azure. We had 2 different services, the cloud role and the worker role. For you, not within IT, that doesn't mean anything. And it didn't mean anything to anybody else either, because nobody understood what it was. So we bought the largest hot air balloon in the world. You fit a lot of people, and we took off for the cloud. That was, great. If you're in marketing, that was like, yes, we did that. And time passed on. We sort of, in a way, got back, and this one is from 2014, where actually Microsoft got its 3rd CEO. And the thing is about those transition, because Microsoft has really been about Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. They've been running this, and now they're going to get somebody else in. And I mean, if you get a guy like who's good at selling soft drinks, that could be a disaster. So actually we got Satya, who's run the long way within Microsoft, and come from a technology background, and that was actually an interesting move, because he came from nowhere actually, but a long way within Microsoft, and that also transformed us even more. And I'm moving to this one. For you that are not in IT, you may not know what Red Hat is. Red Hat is the largest Linux distributor in the world. And if we go back a couple of years, there was a famous or infamous quote from Steve Ballmer where he said, Linux is cancer, because it was open source and it was free. Yes, that is not, I mean, if you sell software and somebody give it away for free, that's not good. But in this sense, the change has been tremendous. So in the old days, Microsoft was good working with Microsoft, but now it's been a much more outreaching company, and we work. For instance, I have an iPhone, and the interesting thing about this is that, okay, we see this as an endpoint of Office 365. You can run Office on it, and actually Microsoft is the company that has the most applications on Apple App Stores and on Google Play. So, of course, we compete in some senses, but it's a lot about working together. And I think that is one important thing. Another one that actually is key. This is a book from last year that our CEO, Satya, wrote. It has hit refresh. And if you have a web browser and you hit refresh, what that does is that it changes some stuff, but not all of it. So you just refresh it. And that is actually what's happening to Microsoft. It's about, going back to the, where we were as an innovative company from the beginning. And another thing, and I think this quote actually comes quite well into you that works with knowledge management, because it's a lot about learning. I thought for a long time that I did know it all. I realized that I didn't. And it's even interesting at Microsoft, when I have a one-to-one with my boss, Of course, he's going to, how much did you sell, all of that type of thing. But he also asked, okay, so Marcus, what did you learn during the last 3 months? What did you learn? And what did you do to contribute to your colleagues actually learning? So, we're talking about this growth mindset and actually learning new stuff. For if you look at Microsoft and the products we have today, almost none of them existed 5 years ago. So it's a very rapid change all the time. And I think that's why knowledge management is going to be so critical and even more important in the future. So if you look to what we are today, if you look at the Microsoft, from, okay, we sell software, but most of all, we sell services together with our partner, and we have an infrastructure. It's more than 100 data centers around the world, millions and millions and millions of servers, and this is like the infrastructure that actually going to build the future of internet services delivered. And I just pulled off this picture from the Azure website, because that changes all the time how many data centers we have. Right now we have 24 Azure regions, and a region consists of at least 2 data centers. And here up in Europe, you can see that we are now bringing Norway 2 data centers online. The new ones in Switzerland are coming. The 2 ones more in Germany. In the US, there are a number of data centers in different regions. We have specific data centers for US government. We have in China and all. So that is something where you only have a very few players that actually have the economic muscles to play in this game. So many big IT companies that didn't invest in the cloud early on, they will not be able to do it because it's simply too expensive to do that. And it's not only the data centers, it's also a network, connecting all these data centers. And Microsoft even bought submarines now. So we're in the submarine business, running and checking this cable. And talking about submarines, we also have underwater data center. Why do you want to have an underwater data center? Anybody? Cooling. Yes. How cold is it on the bottom of the sea? 4 degrees. For our American friends, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but yes, 4 degrees. Thank you. You know your physics. So that's cold, and it's nice. And we also work with, green power. You have wave power plants that, going to generate. And also it's interesting because on the coast, a lot of people live on the coast. So is this going to be something big? Yeah, it might. We don't know yet, but it's one of the things where we put in a lot of research. So, but that is still infrastructure. And okay, so you're going to know the infrastructure is there, it's going to work for you, and it's going to be upgraded. But the interesting thing is that you ask yourself and your companies, like Uber asked themselves, they are a very disruptive company. They did it. But what they asked themselves, who's going to be Uber's Uber? Who's going to come there? Because it's going to come somebody who is faster and better and offer something new. And then you need to be ready to tackle that. And it's all about speed and global reach. The winner takes it all. And that's, I want to show Hamid. He drives taxi in Malmö in the southern part of Sweden. He also runs Uber. And the interesting thing here, there is, just like the cloud business, the taxi business is about trust. And unfortunately, there have been cases where the taxi driver has not been the taxi driver that he's said to be. And there's been, especially among women, that's been abuse, and there's been a lot of things. So in Malmö, when he's doing very well now because people know they can trust him, and a lot of women takes his taxi. And I'm going to explain why. I'm actually going to run a little video to show that.
We come to work every day to pilot, test, and launch new technology solutions. Real-time ID check is the latest technology example where we at Uber are constantly developing and testing new solutions to predict, prevent, and reduce security risks in ways that weren't possible before. It's through this partnership with Microsoft that we've been able to develop this technology quickly and ensure that every rider and every driver has an excellent experience. Real-time ID check is a prompt that appears in the driver's app, asking them to take a self-photo. We can do a check in real time to make sure that that identity of the person who took the picture matches the account holder who's been approved to drive. Doing that serves a couple of purposes. Drivers know that their identities and their accounts are being protected, and riders know that the driver who they're with has been screened.
Jen? Yeah.
Real-time ID is a smart technology. What that means is it factors in and addresses the edge cases. The situation where the driver is wearing glasses or a hat and they weren't in the identification that we have on file. The beautiful thing is it can recognize these changes and ask the driver to remove their sunglasses or retake the photo. The partnership with Microsoft Cognitive Services allowed us to go from idea to execution to implementation across the country in a matter of months. Already, we've been able to make thousands of rides safer, and very soon we're going to be making millions of rides safer through this technology.
So the end comment, we're going to make millions of rides safer, and they actually did. And they rolled it out globally because, back to all this data center and the services, you can roll it out. And if you look at Uber, of course, they have so much money and so much developers. They could have done all of this themselves, but they choose not to. And the reason why is that they need to have, the rapid of getting new services out and the rapid speed of innovation. And it's exactly the same with Come Around that focus on the knowledge and the system on top of it. But all these services can be added quite fast into a solution, and you can get US customers are going to get new technology, and I think you're going to go into the roadmap a little bit more what you do. But it was quite interesting, and it was interesting to see also how that actually changed the balance, in Malmö and the taxi business. And I don't know what business you all are in, but those rapid changes are actually going to be able to help you to do the change. Then, of course, it's a question about trust. Then you can ask yourself, can I trust the cloud? Can you? Yes. How can you trust the cloud? I mean, that's, what is the cloud? I mean, is there a cloud that you can trust? that was a tricky question. Yeah. So, no, but really, I mean, it is the cloud. It's something quite vague. What is it? So the question, if you want to rephrase the question, can I trust my supplier of cloud services? Because not all clouds are created equal. So you have to sort of look at that. And even here, in this case, you should ask, this is the question you should ask. Can I trust the Come Around cloud on top of Microsoft Azure? That is the question you should ask here. And I think for us, I would say, I get paid to say this. So I say, of course, yes. But not only because I get paid to it, but there are actually some more to it. And one reason is actually, and sometimes you compare cloud services like Facebook or other services where you put your data, and the whole idea of business is that you are part of the product. I mean, you look at that and in mind. In this case, that is not the case. So we sell it in a commercial service, and you own your own data. And if you want, you can keep the encryption keys local, and you can do this at a very, very high-tech level without Microsoft messing with your data. So coming on to GDPR, which is interesting here, that has been also for us, I think it's a great thing because we embrace that and we are certified. So, actually, customer, you could go after Microsoft because we also complied with that, and we said yes, if we mess up in terms of that, then the customer could sue Microsoft. So for us, it's a matter of trust, and it's a matter of building this. And if you go to the website azure.com, there is a whole page, explaining a lot about how do we do that, how do we secure customer data and the privacy, which is not something that is new for GDPR. It's something that we worked, even since we worked with the first services on Azure, and we work in Sweden with the data inspection, Datainspektionen, and we had those certification around ISO. If you look at ISO 2718 and the other ISO certifications about handling personal data in the cloud. So we are actually the cloud provider having the most certifications. And of course, if you're in the US, you can see that there are some regional, if you're in a specific